Do you guys think I should let my first biological son back into my life? When I was just 20 years old, I got my girlfriend at the time pregnant. And yeah, I was scared, but I manned up. I manned up and married her. And we made it work. Now, it was hard, but we made it work for 8 years until one day I came home and found her cheating on me. I ended the marriage and started co-parenting. I had my son every weekend. I never missed a weekend. I was always there on time. See, my dad wasn't in my life, and that affected me. So I vowed to be there for my son. Even though I was working full-time and a full-time student, I was always there for him and gave him my full attention anytime he was with me. That was my best friend and my son. He'd come over to my house, he had friends in my neighborhood, and he enjoyed being around my family. I thought everything was great. But when my son turned 11, he stopped wanting to come over. It was at that time when his mom had got a new boyfriend, and he was pretty well off. So I know he wanted to take them on trips and do fun things on the weekends. So at first I ain't making no fuss about it. I ain't even worried about it. I went mad. But 6 months had passed by, and I was maybe only seeing my son once a month on the weekend. After 9 months, he stopped coming completely. I couldn't see him at all. So for 3 months, I was calling, trying to chase them down, begging to see my son, but to no avail. So thankfully, my family helped me, and I got a lawyer. That way I can sue for parental alienation. I lost the case. I sued and lost. And on top of that, the judge ordered me to pay more child support. As I'm leaving the court, her lawyer comes up to me, and he says, "We'll drop the child support if you sign away your rights." And I said, "No, I flat out refuse. I'm not signing away the rights of my son. That's my best friend. I love my son." Then the lawyer said, "This is your ex and your son's decision." I said, "What? My son decided that?" The lawyer said, "Yeah." So I said, "Let me speak to my son alone." At first, my ex didn't agree. But then she agreed as long as both our lawyers could be there, her lawyer and my lawyer, while I was talking to my son. I talked to my son. I asked him, did he really want me to sign away my rights? He said, yeah. I was like, wait. You don't understand. If I sign this, that'll mean I won't be your dad anymore. And you won't be able to come around me or my family. And he looked at me as if he was asking me the time. He said, yeah. So? I was shattered. I frankly asked again. I said, are you sure you want me to sign this away? And he said, yeah. He said he wanted my ex's boyfriend to be his dad. I signed the papers that day. It broke me. And from that day until 2 days ago, he never spoke to me or my family again. And Lily, that almost killed me. After that, I started drinking. And I started to drink a lot. I'd be drunk for weeks. I'd probably still be drinking right now if it wasn't for that final one day where I was drinking and I passed out and I aspirated on my own vomit. I wouldn't even be here right now if it wasn't for the mailman delivering a package to my neighbor that day. She was delivering the package and saw me through the window choking on my own vomit. She called 911 and I was saved. Yeah, I spent 2 weeks in the hospital. But after that, after I got out of the hospital, I went back home. I went back home and I worked on myself, and for 4 years, including therapy and going to the gym and working out, I was finally able to let it all go. I moved on with my life. And about 6 years after I moved back home, I met this amazing woman. She had an 11-year-old kid at the time. And I can't lie, at first I was a little standoffish toward him. But the kid was amazing, caring, and loving. You can't help but fall in love with the kid. And when he turned 18, he asked me to adopt him. And that was the proudest day of my life. Him and his mom really saved me. They saved my life. Now, I'm a proud father of an 18-year-old adopted boy who's in the Marines, a 4-year-old boy, and an 18-month-old baby girl. I'm even doing better at work. I'm doing pretty good for my life right now for me and my family. I went from being a man that no one can love to a man with a loving family. I survived. I'm a survivor. Now, about 3 weeks ago, I was at work in my office when I received a call. It was my ex-sister-in-law. She had called me to inform me that my ex passed away. I simply said, okay, and hung up. I ain't saw or talked to these people in 14 years. I don't care what's going on with them. I don't want to know. Shortly after, I was at home getting ready to leave with my family, and I get a knock on my door. I could recognize him through the glass. It was my first biological offspring. I opened the door and he said, "Hi, Dad, it's your son." I said, "No, it's not. I have 2 sons and you're neither one of them. Now, can you please leave my property?" He just sat there looking dumbfounded. I shut the door. And after a while, he left. And shortly after that, I put out a text to my whole entire family, letting them know he was lurking around. I also let them know that anyone who has contact with him, I will cut them off completely. It's been 14 years. 14 years. He wasn't there when I was sitting by my mom on her deathbed and she was begging to see that child. He wasn't there when I had machine breathing for me because I was about to die. Because of him. No. I learned in therapy that he had the right to make his own decision. I also learned that I have the right to make my own decision. And my decision was to cut him out and move on. Just like he wanted. Cut him off and move on, not have him a part of my family. So he has no right to try to come back into my life or come back around me and my family. I don't owe him or his family anything. And my family, my in-laws agree with me. They're saying nothing good could come out of this. He's 26 years old now. He was 12 years old when he made that decision. But to be honest, I don't care if he was 12 or 200 because he's the one that made that call. And if you could look in his face, if you could have saw the look in his face when he said, "Yeah, so?" You'd have known right then that he didn't give a damn about me. So I had to stop giving a damn about him to survive. Now all of a sudden, his mom's passed away, and now I'm up to bat. I'm up to par. He doesn't have the right to try to come to my house and ambush me and act like he's something to me. And it turns out, my sister is the one that gave him and my ex-sister-in-law my contact information. She's inconsolable that I won't forgive the kid. Apparently, after he left my house, he called her, broke down crying. I stopped her right there and I told her I don't care. Now she's begging me to have a meeting with this kid, saying do it for our mother and for my mother's sake, knowing my mom was on her deathbed crying out for this kid. So I come here and ask you, is there anything good that could come out of a meeting with this kid?